This is very important. This is very important, and we're doing very well on the war front, to put it mildly, I would say. Somebody said, on a scale of 10, where would you rate it? I said about a 15. And we're going to continue to do well. We have the greatest military in the world by far. And that was a tremendous threat to us for many years. 47 years they've been killing our people and killing people from all over the world. And I think we have great support. And I think if we didn't do it first, they would have done it to Israel and give us a shot if that was possible. And if we didn't terminate the worst deal, one of the worst deals ever made, the Obama nuclear deal, I call it the Obama nuclear deal, where he gave everything to Iran, including a nuclear weapon. It was a road to a nuclear weapon. Bad things would have happened 4 years ago, because they would have had a weapon 4 years ago if I didn't terminate that deal. So we're in a very strong position now, and their leadership is just rapidly going. Everybody that seems to want to be a leader, they end up dead. And it's an amazing thing that's taking place before your eyes, because for 47 years we were pushed around, and we shouldn't have been. And I think I can say, and you see it as well as I do, you see the tremendous progress that's being made. Their missiles are being wiped out rapidly. Their launchers are being wiped out. They're attacking their neighbors. They're attacking their, in some cases, allies, or not so long ago allies. And, you know, it's really a nation that was out of control, and they would have used it on us if we let them, if we waited any longer. A big factor was Soleimani, the killing of Soleimani in my first term. And maybe the biggest factor was the rebuilding of the military in my first term. And then the B-2s hit the, and I use the word obliterate because it really was, a complete obliteration of their nuclear potential. And that set them back very, very seriously. If we didn't hit within 2 weeks, they would have had a nuclear weapon. If we didn't do the B-2 attack a number of months ago, they would have a nuclear weapon. And when crazy people have nuclear weapons, bad things happen. So we're in very good shape now. I want to let you know that, and we will continue forward. But it's a great display of military strength, and I'm very proud to have, with some of the people in the room, both senators and congressmen, we rebuilt, and women, we rebuilt our military during the first term, and we're using it a little bit more than I thought we would have to. Venezuela worked out really great. We have a wonderful relationship with the president and the various representatives, and we're taking out hundreds of millions of barrels of oil, and that goes to our benefit and to Venezuela's benefit. They'll be doing better than they've ever done before, and we will get a big piece of that, and we'll also make life wonderful for the people of Venezuela who have been very, very badly hit. So that's a lot said in a short period of time, but you can witness it for yourself. And now we'll get on to something that I'm very proud of, because it was sort of my idea, like
very much so.
Build your own power plant. And everybody thought I was kidding. They said, really, you can do that? How would you do that? I said, we'll get you fast permits, and you'll build your own plants, but we're going to discuss it in great detail with the biggest people in the industry and some of our great leaders and senators. And congratulations on the Medal of Honor for your 100-year soldier. You know, 100 years old, 101 to be exact. And Daryl's been fighting that he get the Congressional Medal of Honor for many years, Daryl, right?
Mr. President, I give you all the credit for overcoming the lawyers in the Department of the Navy in a way that I thought was amazing.
Yeah.
And
well,
nobody could have done it but you.
Maybe it'll be a long. We had to get it to him a little bit quickly, but he looks like he's in good shape. He's got some years left, right?
He's planning to come back here for your next Medal of Honor ceremony, and he's also going to be the star at Tailhook this summer if you want to come to Reno.
Well, I congratulate you for that success. That was amazing. He didn't stop. I've known him a long time. He never stops. So congratulations. It's very nice. We're here this afternoon for a historic signing that will help keep down utility bills very, very substantially. and electricity prices for millions of Americans, and in many cases for a lot of people that don't really understand why they're going up, but they're not going to be going up, they're going to be actually going down. Today we follow through on an announcement I made in my State of the Union address last week as America's largest tech companies officially signed the Ratepayer Protection Pledge. It's a big deal. It's going to have a tremendous impact on electricity costs. We're bringing down all of the costs. We have this little interlude to do what we have to do because we had it going, but these interludes are very important, especially this one. But the economy has never been like this. We broke 50,000 on the Dow. People thought we wouldn't do that within the first 4 years. We did it in the first year. And we brought 7 on the S&P, 7,000 on the S&P. They said that's even less likely to happen. And we did that too, all within the first year. Under this new agreement, big tech companies are committing to fully cover the cost of increased electricity production required for AI data centers. And that would be prices for American communities will not go up, but in many cases will actually come down and very substantially. Because, you know, the data centers, and you people are so big, you're the biggest in the world, but they've developed a little bit of a bad public, they need some PR help, because people think that if a data center goes in, their electricity prices are going to go up, and that's not happening. It's not going to happen. And for the areas where it did happen, it won't happen anymore because they never had this alternative. It's actually going to mean the prices come down. You're going to see how badly they want. Some centers were rejected by communities for that, and now I think it's going to be just the opposite. This means that the tech companies and the data centers will be able to get the electricity they need, all without driving up electricity costs for consumers. This is a historic win for countless American families and will also make our electricity grid stronger and more resilient than ever before, so that's part of it. It's going to be strengthened up, and they're going to be getting a lot of excess electricity from the data centers where they build their own plants. They're going to be creating their own electricity. We're pleased to be joined today by Speaker Mike Johnson, who's got a difficult job, but he does it as easy as anybody I've ever seen do that job. It's never easy when you have a majority of 2, or sometimes less. Yeah, I was going to say, sometimes less, but he's amazing. And Energy Secretary Chris Wright, who's worked so hard, and Senators Katie Britt, Bernie Moreno, John Husted. Thank you, everybody. Really great. Thanks, Katie. Representative Darrell Issa and Derek Van Orden. Thank you both. And Derek, thank you. Nice to see you. OSTP Director Michael Kratsios, AI and crypto czar David Sachs, as well as the commissioners of the Federal Energy Regulation and Regulatory Commission, and an audience. In the audience, you have Laura Swett, David Rosner, Lindsay C., and Judy Chang, all very well-known people, especially in this group of geniuses. We have a lot of geniuses here, and a lot of geniuses that are also very strong people representing labor. We love labor. We love these guys. I also want to recognize the industry leaders here to sign the pledge, and this is a pledge that's going to be a very important pledge to the country and to their companies also. They benefit also very substantially, including President of Google, Ruth Porat. That's a good company. That's big stuff. Google, that's, it used to be U.S. Steel and things like that. Now it's Google and other places. President of Meta, Dina Powell, who was with me. Dina Powell was with me for a long time, and I called up Mark and I said, congratulations, that was a good hire, right? That was a good hire. She's fantastic, and her husband is fantastic. He's a great senator, and he ran in a place called Pennsylvania, and he ran against somebody that was very tough to win. It was very, very tough to win, and he won pretty easily, actually. People were shocked. I wasn't, you and I weren't surprised, were we? But he's a spectacular man. President of Microsoft, Brad Smith. Thank you, Brad. It's good to see you. Microsoft is unbelievable. COO of OpenAI, Brad Lightcap. Brad, where are you, Brad? Brad, you're so young. Look at how young. I think you have to be young in that world, perhaps. Thank you, Brad. CEO of Amazon Web Services, Matt Garman. Matt, thank you, Matt. Very well. Say hello to my friend, right? Doing a good job. CEO of Oracle, Clay Moosquark. Moosquark. Is that fairly good? I don't know. I'm not sure. I usually don't, I just go right over it and I say, Moosquark. But how are you? Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I give you a hard job. It's a hard name. You did good. You did well for the difficulty of that name.
That's right. I think so. Thank you very much. And Gwen Shortwell, of XAI, another real leader. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And say hello, right, to a special person. The last administration, their allies in Congress gave us the worst inflation in, I say, the history of our country, but they say 48 years. So I'll take either one. It doesn't matter. The press gets very upset when I say in the history of our country. They get very angry about it, actually. They say it was only 48 years. I say, you know, in some ways 48 years sounds worse because it's very specific. But it sounds a little worse. But either way, take either one. And the ruinous energy policies were a big reason why many working families' utility bills increased more than 30% during the Biden administration, the worst administration in the history of our country. That's why on day one, I declared a national energy emergency. We had no choice but to do that, and signed an executive order to dramatically accelerate construction of new energy infrastructure, which we are doing at record numbers. And we're rapidly bringing down those costs, very rapidly. We inherited a mess. I say it all the time. We inherited a total mess. And in many cases, we've fixed it, but we're fixing it. And we'll always be fixing it. We're going to make it better and better and better. Many Americans are still concerned that the massive energy demand from AI data centers could drive up their electricity bills in the future, and we understand that. By 2035, energy demand is expected to more than triple. Can you believe it? A lot of it is AI, and it's also all these big plants that are being built all over the country. They're coming in from Canada and Mexico, from Germany, from Japan, from South Korea. They're all coming here to build cars again. You know, we lost 54% of our car industry because we had presidents that, honestly, on trade and business, they didn't know what the hell they were doing. I could say the same thing for the chip industry. We lost the chip industry, but it's all coming back. You could have stopped it so easy. All you would have had to do is put a charge or a tariff on. If you wanted to leave the United States, that's fine. You can go to Taiwan or anywhere you want. But if you're going to make your product and sell it back in here, you're going to pay 100% or 200 or 300% tariff. And nobody would have ever left, but they missed that opportunity. But it's not going to matter now because it's all coming. They're all coming back. By 2035, energy demand is expected to more than triple. Under the Ratepayer Protection Pledge, we're signing today, the big tech companies are making 5 important commitments to keep utility prices down for American consumers. First, these companies are committing to provide or pay for all power generation and electricity needed for their AI projects, which is massive. And where possible, they'll add capacity to the grid by building new power stations. So they're going to be making their own electricity. They're not going to be taking from the grid, and they will actually probably, based on what I'm seeing, they're building overcapacity, and they'll be able to sell that overcapacity at very low prices into the grid. In addition to that, we're fixing the grid. Now, if we didn't do this, this was, I believe, I don't know, nobody's going to challenge you, won't challenge me. I think this was my idea. I said, wait a minute, we can't, when I first got involved with AI, they said, we will need triple the energy. Think of this, triple the energy of what we have now. Some people said double. I said, whether it's double or triple, that's crazy. And that was just for AI. It is incredible. And when you see the buildings we're talking about, you start to understand it. But unless you saw it, buildings that go for miles, buildings that are so big, buildings that cost $60 billion. I said, you mean $60 million? When I first got involved, they said, we're building a $60 billion building. I said, you mean 60 million? 60 million is a big building. It's not that big, but it's pretty big nowadays. They said, no, no, sir, we're going to spend 60 billion. But now it's like 100 billion and 150 billion. And the bottom line, it takes electricity like nobody's ever seen before. And I said, well, with an old grid, even if we fix it really well, which we're in the process of doing, you can't take that and double our electricity. They're going to have to build it themselves. And I told Mark, I actually told Mark, I told Elon, I told people, and nobody believed me. They said, you're going to let us build our own electricity? Because they've been so used to being beaten down and to have people with no ideas how to solve problems, and then the whole thing fails. It's a whole disaster. They said, no, I'm serious. And in one case, they submitted plans, and they didn't do what I told them. And when I called them, I said, why don't you have your plant here? We thought you were kidding. Are you serious? You really? They couldn't believe it, in a good way. They said, it's too good to be true. And I said, no, it's not. And here's the other thing. You'll have your approvals within 2, 3, or 4 weeks. It used to take 20 years to get it prior to rejection. So in other words, you go 20 years prior to rejection. They'd vote. I've known many plants where they've been, I knew people, they started off young. They were young trying to get approvals for a stupid plant, one plant. Their whole life was devoted to getting this plant. And around 22 years, in one case, 22 years later, he got rejected. I said, that's not good. He wasted, let's say, half of his working life on getting an approval, and he didn't get, now we get it in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. When I came in originally in my first term, we had 2 big LNG plants in Louisiana. They were in the 14th year of getting approvals, and they had just been rejected. And I got involved. They were tremendous plants. They're up now. They're working beautifully. They built the 3rd one. They're magnificent. I mean, if you like pipes, this is a plant. The whole thing is, you look inside, all it is pipes. I've never seen anything quite like it. It's like lying 2 or 3 Empire State Buildings on their side and doing nothing but putting pipes into it. So I didn't know exactly what it represented. All I knew is this is what they needed. So I got involved. The first one I got done in 1 day. The second one, I was a little bit slower that week, and it took me 1 week. So I got the first one done in 1 day, got fully approved. And when they called up the head, and I didn't want anything. I don't want anything for myself. I want it for the country. When they called up the head of a company like a Microsoft or like any one of the people in this room, but they called up the heads, they said, no, we got rejected. No, you just got approved. It was 1 day and 1 week, and they were built, and they're in your state, by the way, right? Yes. And they are big. Yes, they are. And they're doing great. Lots of pipes. And there are lots of pipes, right? That's all I noticed. I said, I've never seen anything like that. Anyway, so for these companies committing to provide or pay for all power generation electricity needed for their AI projects, where possible, they will add capacity to the grid. They're going to be adding a lot of capacity, and I think it's going to be really, and I've seen some power plants. I'm actually more interested in the power plant than I am in information. I said, where do you make the money for this? They said, information. I said, okay, that's good. That's got to be a lot of information, though, right? And it's turning out to be true. David, it better be true, because you got a big bet. This country has a big bet on it. But it's incredible what they're doing and what they're coming up with. Second, they'll cover the costs of upgrading existing power delivery infrastructure and their energy demand as it requires further investment. So they'll be upgrading existing power delivery infrastructure. They will, third, negotiate separate rate structures with utilities to clearly and cleanly assign them to the costs of new capacity investments and commit to paying even if they do not end up using all of that electricity. They're going to make a commitment. So we're going to have a situation where you're not going to have increased electric bills for homes that are in the area or even outside of the area. And fourth, they'll invest in the local communities where they build and operate, provide workforce development and jobs for skilled Americans like those with us today. We have great skilled people, electricians, engineers, HVAC technicians, server and network technicians, power plant workers, plumbers, welders, and many others, all people that I've hired. All my life I've been hiring you guys, and you've done a great job. I built a lot of buildings, a lot of good ones. And finally, they will use their infrastructure to contribute backup power to local grids during times of need. So they're going to have a lot of backup power. We're going to have a lot of excess. Basically, we're building massive amounts of electricity, and you're not paying for it at all. And the companies want to do it because this way they can, otherwise they couldn't build. I mean, the option really was not about cost. It was about there's no way of possibly taking the old grid and doubling it in a matter of months or years. So in short, America's largest and richest tech companies will be funding a colossal expansion of U.S. energy. We'll have, I read where China is building tremendous energy. I know, you got to respect it. But we're building similar amounts. We're building what we need, and we're building it through the private sector. We're building it through great companies. And I've seen some of the plants that these geniuses, they are real geniuses, are showing. And I say, wow, that's really great. You're really doing things in terms of technology with electricity that, frankly, the standard, wonderful power companies probably aren't going to be getting there. Maybe as you build them, they'll be started. But some of the plants that I've seen, Dina, are absolutely unbelievable. So they're going to be producing massive amounts of electricity and energy. The grid, so the American consumers aren't going to have to even think about it, and your electric costs are going to be going down. Now, unfortunately, it'll take a little time to get there, so they'll say, well, you know, I don't know who's going to follow me, but whoever is going to follow me is going to have some big advantage. You know, it happened with Biden where we got a lot of approvals for things, but they take statutorily a year or 2 years. And I got one on medicine that was good, not as good as favored nations, which we just got. That's 80 and 90% drops, okay? Nobody's going to believe it. But I got one on various medicines, and it was good, but it doesn't kick in for 2 years. I said, I hope I win this election because I'm going to get so much credit. And the election was rigged and stolen. And he stood up there one day getting credit. He didn't even know what the hell he was talking about. He got the credit. He was talking about how he did this, and he had no idea what he was talking about, but we were the ones that got it. And I hate that. So this is going to happen again because somebody's going to be getting a lot of credit into the future. But this is really the pretty current future. This is going to go very quickly. This is going to happen almost immediately. The United States is leading the world in AI by a lot. We're leading China. We're leading everybody by a lot. Without this, you wouldn't even, I don't think you could build, Brad, you couldn't build a plant, right? Without this, I don't think you could, you know, you'd have to rely on the grid, and you wouldn't be able to do that. So the United States is leading by a lot. We're leading everybody. And it's not only, you know, other countries are very much into it. They all want it. But we're going to be dominant in this field, which is very important. In crypto, we want to be dominant. We want to be dominant in everything we do. And this agreement will ensure that America can maintain the most advanced AI infrastructure on the planet without American families being forced to pick up the tab. And that's why the early ones, they hook up to the electric utilities, and they can't produce the kind of numbers electric-wise that they want, and they end up raising the rates. It's not going to happen anymore, and now it's going to go the opposite way. They'll make a lot of money, and electric rates, we actually think they're not going to stay. I think they're going to actually, Chris, they're going to actually come down. So your electric bills will actually come down. It'll take a little while, but not long. So this new strategy, never tried before in any country, will pave the way for continued American dominance in energy and technology working together. So you're going to have great energy sources because you're going to build them yourself, and if they're not good, you'll make them a little bit bigger and better, right? But again, a lot of people, it took me 6 months to convince people that I was serious about this, and we have a very big key to what we're doing is Lee Zeldin. He's in charge of the environmental department and energy. And the job he's done is incredible, getting you fast approvals. So some of the plants are starting, and they're coming in. I say, Lee, 2 weeks for natural gas. Don't worry about wind. Forget it. It's worthless. You don't get approvals for wind. We don't do wind in this because it's a loser. Except for China, they make all the windmills. You know, China makes all the windmills. The only problem is they don't have wind farms. You ever think somebody's going to have to look at that? How many wind farms have you seen lately in China? They make the windmills. They sell them to the suckers over in Europe. Europe is buying them by the thousands. And I told them for 3 years, this is not going to work out well. And now they're saying I was right. But I say, natural gas, clean, beautiful coal. You know, we don't ever say in the Trump administration you're not allowed to use the word coal unless you precede it by saying clean, beautiful. And Chris made a beautiful speech about 3 weeks ago, and he took me very, very seriously. And every time it was about coal, and every time he mentioned coal, it'd say, clean, beautiful coal, clean, beautiful coal, clean, beautiful. I said, Chris, easy. It sort of stepped in the speech a little bit. It was a little much, but we got the point across. That coal is clean and beautiful. Well, look, it's so many of the nations that are working are using coal, and you can do things with coal today that are incredible in terms of the environment and in terms of cleanliness. But I said 2 weeks for oil and gas, coal, and for nuclear power plant, maybe take 2 or 3 weeks. You can add on an extra week. But Lee Zeldin has done an amazing job in getting you all of the permits that you need, because normally that would take many, many years, and they're already building the plants. They're being built all over the country, and they are incredible. So with that, I'll introduce Chris Wright, who's we were lucky to get him. Doug Burgum convinced me he was the best guy. I wanted Doug Burgum for his position. And because I'm very impressed with Doug, he's doing a fantastic job. He said, there's somebody that's better than me on energy. I said, a guy named Chris Wright. He's the biggest in the industry. He's the smartest. He's the best. I say, really? He's better than you? And Doug has a very big ego. So for him to say that was not easy. But I met Chris, and it was sort of love at first sight. He has done some job, and so has Doug. We gave him interior where they have all the oil, and we gave him energy where they take it, right? So we sort of did a friendly merger without going through Congress, because if we went through Congress, it would never get done unless the Speaker wanted to get it done, in which case it would be all right. So, Chris, you could say a few words, please.
You bet. First of all, thank you all for being here today. The reason we're here and the things that are going to happen are because of the people in this room. I want to thank you, Mr. President, for your leadership. Very early on, I mean, first week, I'm in my new job. I haven't had a boss in 40 years, and I'm in the Oval Office adjusting to this, and the President says to me 2 things very clearly. He says, number one, we have to lead in AI. We have to lead. This is a transformative technology. America must lead in AI, and the old energy policies that were going on would not lead in AI. We need to lead in AI. Number two, the government's a bureaucracy. It's always in the way of things. It's been in the way of AI. We've got to run the government like a business. The businesses who want to invest are our partners, and get them here right away, and we've got to work with those partners. And boy, we have 7 incredible leaders in the room today. We're going to win in AI, and we're going to stop the rise in electricity prices because of the 7 leaders that are sitting around this table. The President said you're going to work with them like business leaders. Ultimately, this is not a negotiation where one side wins and one side loses. We have the same interests. The interest of the businesses is to be embraced by the communities so they can build and develop data centers in their communities. Those data centers that are developed there are going to bring jobs and opportunities for people. They're going to have us lead in artificial intelligence, critical for our economy, critical for our national defense, and critical for our security. The nation that leads in AI will be the military superpower. That has been and must remain the United States of America. But this is a pivot, and this is a transformation, and it's the bold leadership of the President and the bold long-term vision of the business leaders that I am very proud to call partners and friends around this table that have invested that money, that have developed those technologies, that are willing to invest those dollars, and are also willing to fix the biggest problem. We had 30% electricity price rises during the Biden administration, and we shrunk our amount of available dispatchable electricity. That is a train wreck waiting to happen. And the president recognized from the start, we have to lead in AI and we have to stop electricity price rise. And those are not in contradiction. These companies are smart, they're powerful, they're strong, they can build power, partner with them. And that's exactly, all of them embraced it. All of them have spent money to these noble causes. And as we heard, a number of states that have partnered with the people on this table have announced multi-year rate freezes. Indiana's the leader now and the first one filing for a rate reduction. But it is the partnership of these companies and a business focused on government, focused on the American people, that is the transformation. But I could not be more proud to be here. I've got to thank also our FERC commissioners that are here. FERC is a noble regulatory agency that just got bureaucratic and lived in a different time and a different age. We need to make things happen fast.
Could they stand up?
Yes, can all the FERC commissioners stand up?
Because, you know, they're the most powerful people in the country. And I have had more people say, do you know FERC? I said, do I know FERC? What about FERC? And I learned so much about you, and you are the most powerful people in the country. So we want to be very nice to you. Please get us approvals. Please get us those approvals, okay? Thank you all very much. Thank you.
The FERC team has worked hard, smartly, and practically to enable the revolution that's going to happen. America leading in AI and stopping the price rises. Thank you all so much. And boy, one of the other things I'm crazy lucky about is to work as a partner with a guy who has the hardest job in the world and does it with a smile, does it with charm, and does it with grace. Speaker Mike Johnson.
Well, thanks so much, Mr. Secretary. Thanks to you all. It's a great honor to be here with the leaders of tech and industry, the FERC commissioners. They are so very important, and all these folks who help all this happen. Look, only President Trump has the gravitas to be able to assemble the leaders of all these great companies in one room, and also to conceive of an idea like the Ratepayer Protection Pledge. This is an idea whose time has come. I think it's going to be so well received around the country because, let's be honest about it, there are concerns that people have had. There's a lot of misinformation out there, Mr. Secretary, about the rise in energy demand and what that's going to mean for our communities. So it is so meaningful to have leaders, the titans, to come in and say, everybody be calm. This is going to be great. It's actually going to be better going forward. Not only is America going to stay on top and lead and be the strong superpower that we are, we're going to continue to lead on AI. We're going to continue to make the communities better. I'm in the state of Louisiana. A lot of this is happening in Louisiana, Mr. President. It's not just a bunch of beautiful pipes. It's also data centers. Meta's doing a big one. And, of course, Amazon's working in Louisiana, and Stack, and so many of the other companies. And our communities are so grateful to have that investment, and also grateful because they're coming in as great corporate partners, community partners, and they're acting responsibly. They're helping to build out the energy grid, and they're making life better, not just with good-paying jobs. They're actually making life better in these communities and in our states, and so we're so grateful for that. I like what you said a moment ago. This is a win-win-win across the board. You have everybody who's come to the table in good faith under the leadership of this extraordinary president to make this happen for the country. It's at the perfect time. Trust is not given by communities and local stakeholders. It's built over time. And I think this pledge is a huge part of building that important foundation for the future. America's back, Mr. President. I'm so excited about that. Excited to be a part of this. Thanks so much for letting us be in. Yeah.
I think we'll go with John. Is that all right? John Houston?
Thank you, Mr. President. In places like Ohio, this is a very, very big deal. I know that you know well that if we want to have economic dominance and national security dominance, we need to have technological dominance. And AI and data centers are a big piece of that. And I know that the American people want to win. They want to win this just like you do. We want to be superior to our challengers like China. We want to have AI dominance because that helps give our military, our manufacturing, everybody across the country needs AI dominance if America wants to win. And I know that you're the leader of the America First agenda. You want America to win, but so do the people in places like Ohio, but they're concerned about energy prices, right? They know that they like those folks out there, the construction trades that build these, the plumbers, pipe fitters, HVAC, electricians, the people that build the power plants, the laborers, the Boilermakers, like these are working people in places like Ohio that do amazing work to build the data centers, to build the power plants, but people just are worried about their energy prices. And what you're offering today with this roundtable with the Ratepayer Protection Pledge, Mr. President, is great leadership because this solves the problem that people were worried about. And as the data centers build new power plants, it leads to energy stability, affordable, reliable electricity for American ratepayers, helping them win the affordability battle that you're leading on behalf of this great team that you've assembled. And I just want to say thank you for your leadership on this.
Thank you very much, John. And I hear you're doing very well in your race. He's running for a very important seat in a great state that I like a lot. It's always been good to me, and it's going to be good to you, and it has been good to you. So good luck with that. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. President.
You're going to do good. Michael, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. You have been talking about this issue beginning as early as the campaign in July when we released the AI Action Plan. This was a focal point of the speech you gave. Talked about it again at the State of the Union. So this is a culmination of this idea that you've been working on for quite some time. And the key to all of this is that American AI leadership should never come at the cost of hardworking Americans' ability to pay their electricity bills. And frontier AI that all of these great companies work on every day, along with the data centers that underlie them, are going to accelerate scientific discovery. They're going to unlock economic efficiencies. They're going to enable entire new industries to support the prosperity of all Americans. And to continue to lead in AI, these great companies need to make new data centers. We need new fabrication capacity. We need new manufacturing facilities, and we need new power plants to be able to do all of this great work. And today, through this pledge, we are challenging all these companies to think bigger when it comes to data center construction by identifying ways that we can drive down the overall electricity cost, to ultimately strengthen grid resilience, and to create more American jobs in the communities that choose to build all of these data centers. By signing this pledge, all these companies here are making themselves accountable to you, Mr. President, and to the American people as they strengthen their commitment to benefiting the communities in which they build and they operate. We as an administration are using every tool at our disposal to ensure that the U.S. can build and maintain the largest, most powerful, and most advanced AI infrastructure anywhere on the planet. And today we recognize that building the future requires massive amounts of reliable energy. And I'm grateful to you, Mr. President, for acting so decisively to ensure that the growing demands of energy that we have are never passed to the American households. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dina?
Thank you, Mr. President. It's such an honor to be with you today. I also want to thank your outstanding team for partnering with us. You know, it's been remarkable to watch this transformational moment and you positioning America to lead. Our country has had very big transformational movements before, whether it was coming together, World War II, or the Industrial Revolution. But this is different. The next 3 years, in many ways, sir, are the whole game. And those 3 years, while you are president, you have positioned us to win. You have not only made sure that energy dominance is a key to how we will succeed in the compute needs we need, but you've also done something very important. You've made us all know that it's not about the products, it's about the people. And at Meta, we are so proud of the jobs that we are creating, whether it is in Louisiana or in Ohio. So proud that it's not just extraordinary engineers, it is pipe fitters, it is welders, it is electricians. And I'm particularly proud today to announce that partnering with Senator Moreno and Senator Husted, we have launched a pilot in Ohio to train fiber technicians, some who are in this audience actually today, a very important skill set needed to build data centers. This 4-week program is a new curriculum. When you graduate, you have a license to be a fiber technician and a guaranteed job with Meta. We are also extremely proud to sign the Ratepayer Pledge today. Also, in Louisiana, as the speaker just said, we have been able to lower the costs so many Louisiana payers, energy payers, an estimated $650 million over 15 years. So we are proud to say today that we want to fully cover the cost of the energy that we use in our data centers, create jobs and opportunity, but more than anything, sir, we are really proud that we're going to look back and have had the privilege to work with you and know that America won at such a critical time and that we did it really working with the American worker and so many others. So thank you, sir. Proud to be here with you.
So nice. Thank you very much, Jen.
I also want to say, sir, I forgot to say it, you know, it was 10 years ago, way before we were talking about AI, that you said there is honor and dignity in plumbers and in workforce skills training, and you asked Ivanka, as you know, to chair that. 10 years later, we could not have imagined how much we needed all of those jobs and those programs, and you marshaled the entire government to do it. That is having an impact in cities across the country. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Jen. Ruth, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Google is grateful for all that you and your administration are doing to secure America's continued leadership in AI. And to your point, it must be powered by abundant and affordable energy if it is to benefit all Americans. I'm pleased to be here to underscore Google's support for the Ratepayer Protection Pledge. We're committed to assist in all of your work to support American households, American businesses in this exceptional era of innovation. So 4 brief points how we will deliver on this for Americans. First, adding to energy capacity. Consistent with your call to build, bring, or buy energy, we will meaningfully invest across America to bring new energy online, as you have stressed so frequently, to deliver the self-sufficiency that is core to this pledge. In Texas alone, we've contracted to add more than 7,800 megawatts of net new energy generation and capacity to the grid as we grow our data center footprint. And very much to your point, we're committed to continuing to invest to add capacity where we build. And to that end, we will very shortly close on an acquisition of Intersect Power, which is going to enable us to build data centers right next to those new additional power generation capabilities where possible. Second, to protect American ratepayers, we're committed not only to pay for 100% of the energy we use, but very importantly, the infrastructure to support that growth, whether or not we end up using that energy. And I think one example that brings that to life, I recently had the privilege of being in Arkansas with Governor Sanders, and our energy partner there, Entergy, announced that Google's investment covers the full energy costs associated with powering our data center, which contributes more than $1 billion back to Arkansas customers to reduce their electricity costs. I think this is precisely what you were saying we need to do more of, and we're committed to doing that. Third, I get very excited about the topic of workforce development, very much to your point, and the important topic of job creation. Every one job that we create in a Google data center gives rise to an additional 9 jobs in the communities in which we are building that data center. Those are high-skilled construction jobs, electrician jobs, represented by so many of the amazing people here today. It's also jobs across the community, in schools, in restaurants, with small businesses. And we announced, in fact, last week that we're providing free AI professional training for all small businesses across America. And given the clear need for electrical workers in America, we're particularly proud of the work we've led to create an electrician training program. And we're committed to train 100,000 electrical workers and 30,000 new apprentices across the country. On top of that, we're excited about significantly growing these programs. We've heard the pledge. Finally, Mr. President, as you said, the American grid needs to be more resilient, and so we're investing here as well. 2 quick things. We pioneered demand response with data centers, so we, with technology, will move workloads out of the way during extreme weather events to make room for the community. And second, we're applying AI itself to the grid to increase capacity in the grid. So again, I want to thank you. I want to thank you all for convening us. The benefits from AI, responsibly delivered, are immense for America's businesses, for America's communities, and for its citizens. Thank you again for your leadership on this very important point.
Thank you very much. Doing a great job.
Thank you, sir.
Gwen?
Mr. President, I want to thank you for your Thank you, Brad. I want to thank you for your leadership. Because of your work on this issue, I'm confident that we will win the race with in AI with China and succeed in delivering inexpensive, abundant electricity for the American people. As you know, XAI builds huge supercomputers and data centers, and we build them fast. Currently, we're building one on the Tennessee-Mississippi state line. As part of today's commitment, we will take extensive additional steps to continue to reduce costs of electricity for our neighbors. Mr. President, we want to be on your team to deliver a big win for the American people. XAI will therefore commit to develop 1.2 gigawatts of power as our supercomputer's primary power source, and that will be for every additional data center as well. We will expand what is already the largest global megapack power installation in the world. The installation will provide enough backup power to power the city of Memphis, and more than sufficient energy to power the town of South Haven, Mississippi, where the data center resides. We will build new substations and invest in electrical infrastructure to provide stability to the area's grid. We will build state-of-the-art, we haven't talked about that yet, but this is actually quite important. We will build state-of-the-art water recycling plants that will protect approximately 4.7 billion gallons of water in the Memphis aquifer each year. And we will employ thousands of American workers from around the city of Memphis on both sides of the Tennessee-Mississippi border. We will also commit to deploying our AI technology to make people's lives better, creating a period of abundance where electricity becomes cheaper and people have access to the best goods and services humankind has ever seen. Finally, Mr. President, we commit to take these efforts into orbit. We are currently designing orbital data centers powered by the nuclear reactor in the sky. Launching supercomputers into space will mean even more energy on Earth, as all the power plants that we're building now and power sources we've built will be available to the communities instead of the data centers. I've been in the space industry for nearly 40 years, sir, and I have never seen things move more quickly than under your administration, so thank you for that. Mr. President, you've been strong and clear about building AI that benefits Americans and benefits American values, including demanding that AI is consistent with American values. In July 2025, you signed an executive order directing agency heads to support only those AI models that prioritize truth-seeking and are ideologically neutral. We fully support that order, and we're fully on board with the ratepayer protection pledge, and I'm really excited to be here. Thank you so much for your commitment.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Would anybody like to say something? We're finished with the official speakers, but we have the most important people in the room, and great people, political and otherwise. Would anyone have anything? Please, Darrell.
Perhaps as the California representative here, I can tell you how excited I am about your proposals. First of all of you have major presence in California. And not long ago, I visited the largest site of one that's not here today, Apple. It's in Reno, Nevada, Mr. President. It is 1,700 acres. It goes on, as you said, forever with buildings. It is doing a great job. It is one of dozens. Most of you also have centers being put up in that same neighborhood just outside my state of California. The reason they're there is the availability of power. And the story I just wanted to briefly say that says a lot about the current state versus where you're putting it with the help of industry. They have what you would call huge, beautiful power plants, one after another that they have. They built them for backup because in Nevada they were able to get all the power they wanted, but they built in resilience there. They've only had to run them extensively when California calls and says we're having a blackout. Would you please turn on your power generators so we don't go dark in San Jose, miles away? That said so much to me about the responsibility of these companies already in the past building backup power, but also the need to have the resilience that these plants will create as a result of your work. And they won't be diesel plants, they'll be clean burning plants, they won't be temporary or backup, they'll be positive. Lastly, my state has invested in solar, so much so that we have it to burn during the day. Literally, we burn it. We don't know what to do with it. The ability of these power plants to take solar when it's in excess and then provide that resilience 24/7, all as a result of your leadership. And so, as someone who is from a state that may build less of them, but needs them more than any other state, I want to thank you for what you're doing, because these companies now can be empowered to do a lot more than what they did so far on the edge of California to help California be part of winning the AI race.
Thank you very much. We'll go very quickly. David, please.
Thank you, sir. As I think all of you know here, we have an AI boom going on. We also have a construction boom going on. Just the leading companies in the U.S. are investing $650 billion this year building out this infrastructure. That's a 2% tailwind to GDP, and that is leading to job increases for construction workers and huge wage increases for construction workers like the fellows we got right up here. So this is a very important boom to sustain, and thanks to your leadership, Mr. President, we're doing that, and we're protecting residential ratepayers, making sure that their electricity prices will not go up. That's the combination we need. And I just want to contrast it, if I may, with the approach of Democrats like Bernie Sanders. Their approach is just to ban. They just want to ban the data centers. So they want to stop the economic growth. They want to stop the wage increases for blue collars. They want to stop the construction. They want to just stop progress. That's not the answer. There's a much better answer. You have found it, sir. And I just want to vouch for the fact that in one of our very first meetings, you did say that you wanted to make our AI companies into energy companies. So that was true. And I remember thinking, that's a really good idea. The president knows more about AI than I do. So this is thanks to your leadership we're here today, and I know this is something that you've been championing for a very long time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Katie, thank you.
Yes, Mr. President, so this is something that we've not only just talked about, obviously, on the national stage, but we've been talking about and wrestling with in Alabama as well. Look, we understand the need to win the AI race, and you have made sure that America is put first in every category, and that means that we dominate there, and we do it in a way, though, that helps everyday Americans. So when we're looking at their safety and security and what that will ultimately prevail there, we don't want to do it at the expense of ratepayers. And you, once again, have taken an incredibly complex problem that everybody wants to talk about, and you actually found a solution. You found a win-win. We're not only going to win the AI race as a result of what you're doing today, but you have said to every American, to every Alabamian, I see you. And we're going to make sure that your energy cost not only does not go up as a result, but you even said today, with the added capacity, that it's actually going to go down. In addition to all of that, just want to say thank you to you for being willing to be good community partners. That's what makes all of this work. So the communities that you will ultimately reside in, you are saying we want to build you up in every sense of the word, giving you greater opportunity as a result of this pledge today. So, Mr. President, thank you for making sure that Americans were put first, and that this progress is not at their expense, but is rather at to their benefit.
Yep, that's right. Very quickly, Derek.
Mr. President, I have to tell you something. You're the only person in the world that could put together this coalition. You are the only person in the world. I hope the American people understand what we're talking about here today. You're meshing high tech with the hammer. You're putting these guys with the hard hats with the 100-pound brain nerds, and that's gonna be the future. Sorry, I love you guys. And so, Mr. President, the thing that the American people need to understand is that you're not thinking about an election cycle. You're thinking about the next generation. And what you're doing today by having this coalition of people is making sure that the future generations, our children, are not going to have to be concerned about losing a war. And that means so much, especially in this time now. If people really take a step back and appreciate this is actual visionary leadership, and it's going to take care long before or long after we're all gone, sir. Your efforts today are going to make America great into the foreseeable future. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Derek. You're doing a great job. Bernie, I think you're okay. You want to say something really fast, Bernie?
Thank you.
He gets my vote. He gets my vote. I have to go back and look at the war. You know, we have a lot of things happening. Thank you, Bernie. You're doing a great job. Please. This is Will Scharf. Go ahead, Will. You have anything to say?
I think it's been pretty comprehensively covered by all the speakers you've had today, sir, but you're going to be signing a proclamation announcing the Ratepayer Protection Pledge. This is going to ensure American AI dominance in the years ahead, while also ensuring that American ratepayers, ordinary Americans paying their electric bills, aren't paying anything more. And along with the proclamation that you're signing, each of the CEOs and industry representatives that we have present here will be signing an actual copy of the Ratepayer Protection Pledge, committing them to your vision for this industry going forward.
Pretty good, right?
And let me say to the press, thank you so much for being here. It was fantastic. After the pledges are signed, if we can have you move out of the room as quickly as you can so we can do a little bit of business. But thank you for being here at this thing. And as you heard, the summary of the Trump agenda is lower prices, higher wages.
Okay, you got it done. That's a good one. It's a good one, English.
You know, a lot of people, well, we're pretty selfish people, I think. You know, but a lot of people out there, they tend to hold on to this hate for Trump, for this man, and they have been circulating these lies about him for such a long time that the new generation, even children that are in second grade, third grade, they learn these lies. They don't know any better, but they learn these lies, and this is how the leftists are trying to build the foundation of this country in their hearts and in their minds. I wish that I can force everybody to just do the right thing. You know, but even God doesn't do that. God doesn't force us to do the right thing. He doesn't even force us to believe in him. We have to choose. We got to make a decision. And I'm going to tell you, whether you like him or not, it's irrelevant. Let me tell you what I see him as. We're going to go to Carolyn Levitt's press conference after this. But, you know, President Trump wants attention. Who doesn't? I like attention. If I go with the entertaining part of this world, I can tell you I am a Gemini and I am a dragon, according to the Chinese calendar. Now, this is just for fun, but it really describes my attitude, my character, the good and the bad. It's crazy how accurate it actually kind of is. But there are some people that are not like the description, but to me, it describes me very well. And I see Trump, you know, when Trump does something, it's because he likes the attention. I get that, right? But think about this. He is, for example, if he's golfing, he wants to brag about golf. He's good. He's definitely better than me. And professionals give him props that he keeps up. Sometimes he hits better than them. Not all the time, but sometimes. And he brags about it because he loves it. Do you know why he brags about the United States of America? Because he loves it. Think about this. Would you want to have a leader that wants to get the attention of the people? Hey, Thunder, 3 times for you. You know, do you want a president that wants attention for loving his country, for doing what it takes to protect his country and his people? Or would you like to have a president like Biden and that administration who put illegal immigrants and foreign affairs, foreign prosperity before our American citizens and our local economy? I hope that makes sense. Who would you rather have? Would you rather have Obama, who a lot of the Democrats say he is well-spoken, what a president should be, and yet he funded Iran and the terrorists? He multiplied or awoken racism and division back in this country with his evil wife. And some people on the left say, oh, what a lovely couple. Please. They're at each other's throat right now. They're probably getting divorced. Who knows? Maybe they're divorced already. But this is the same people. Barack Obama is the man that lied to us Latinos talking about immigration reform. He lied to the American people about putting them first when he allowed Muslim terrorists to take our money, remove sanctions, allow them to thrive, even when they have been chanting and warring against the United States for 47 years, chanting death to America, death to Israel. He released the sanctions. But the Democrats think that Obama is the greatest president ever. I can't wait for March 9th. I can't wait for March 9th. You know what I'm talking about. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you better go find out what's going on March 9th with Obama. I think it's on March 9th. I'm over here talking smack. I don't even know if it's March 9th. I think it's March 9th. But I know that he got some criminal lawyers to represent him. That's right, Grant Reed. That's right. You know, people come in here and they protecting pedophiles. You know, there is no proof. There is hearsay. There's no facts. There's no solid evidence. Just hearsay. And then the people that have accused him have retracted comments. All the victims on the stairs of the house, all the devil, oh, look at that, release the Epstein files. Release the Epstein file. Look at the victims. Oh my God, we feel so sorry for them. Not one of them said anything against President Donald Trump. And one person that actually said something that he raped her when she was 13 was a crackhead that retracted that as well. So I'm going to tell you what I see on President Trump. He's arrogant. He likes to be the center of attention. He likes attention. He seeks attention. In one way or another, he is always trying to prove himself. Now listen to me. His father was very hard on him. Trump was a bully at a young age, as a teenager. But he graduated top of his class. You remember when he was marching in New York? And he had that little necklace, that little medal that they gave him on the military school? That's right. He has been fighting. He's a fighter all his life. And I'm going to tell you that the people that are weak, the people that are cowards, they always come in and they want to just insult and try to embarrass and try to overtalk over people while they're answering questions. I understand the occasional interruption, especially when somebody is not telling the truth. I get it. But people that like to yell over somebody when they are asking a question and somebody's answering, this is who they are. This is what the leftist people are. You know, they come in here. They just come in here to drop a negative comment. That's okay. Hey, whatever makes you happy. Whatever floats your boat. Whatever you like. Whatever you like, I do for you. You know, but President Donald Trump, he really loves this country. President Donald Trump is the only president in his family who has never owned slaves. Never. Everybody else and their mama has had slaves, apparently. But not President Trump. President Trump is the only one that try to help the homeless. President Donald Trump is the only one that has lifted the Hispanic professionals. President Donald Trump is the only one that has given back to the black community, has helped them. His dear friend just passed, Mr. Jackson, the black man. Dr. Carson is on his side. You remember when they were fighting, when they were debating, when they were running for president. President Donald Trump ate everybody alive there. Tore everything down. Everybody got tore up. You know what? That is the name of the game. You got to fight. You got to fight. But at the end of the day, I want you to know something. The Democrats says that President Trump is vengeful. Well, you know what? Vengeance is mine, says the Lord. Everybody that has spoken negative, false testimonies and has tried to sue Trump up the yin-yang and everything, they will pay for everything that they have tried to do against President Donald Trump. Some people call it karma. But the Bible says, judge not, lest ye be judged. It's so hard for me to say it in English. I learned my Bible in Spanish. Sorry about that. But that's what it means. Just when Jesus says that let those who are without sin cast the first stone, that is what that means. If you raise false testimony, you will receive the punishment of such testimony you're giving. Speak truth. Speak truth. I love President Donald Trump because he has failed so many times. I love President Donald Trump because he was raised in a very harsh environment. You think that because somebody's rich, they don't have problems? Sometimes rich people have it harder than we do as poor people. You know why? Because as poor people, we appreciate every little thing that we have to work for. And sometimes the rich don't, and they get in trouble. And when they get in trouble, they can lose what they have and creates just as much stress as not having something. So I'll never be jealous of people having gold and luxuries. Let them. God bless them. Let them have more, especially when they help out the people. The leftists, the fake Democrats, because the Democrats don't exist anymore. The leftists want you to believe that God doesn't exist, and therefore you can tell who they belong to. You can tell who they serve. And I'm not trying to be this preacher that wants to make everybody be religious. It's not about being religious. But it has a lot to do with your morals. You see the morals that we carry. Yeah, you and I can talk and we can curse at each other and we can have a good time, etc. That's okay. That's okay. That has nothing to do with your salvation. But what you have to understand is that there is a moral compass. Yes, President Trump is an adulterer. How many of you are without sin? How many of you have never had a dirty thought? How many of you have been righteous all of your life? How many of you have lied ever in your life? How many of you have never done anything wrong to anybody? And be honest with yourself. So let's not be hypocrites. We lie all the time. You can call it white little lies, but everybody lies. Hey, how you doing today? I'm doing great. And you're not. You're in pain. You're miserable. You're pretending. That's a lie. I do that all the time. But sometimes I am feeling great. But at the end of the day, what my point is that here is a man like any other man. People say, oh, he's rich. That's why he's... Well, you know, a lot of millionaires have gone bankrupt. President Trump has gone bankrupt quite a few times. And even though he was bailed out by his father, he was able to turn a negative $900 million into billions and positive. People blame him for taxes. Please. If you're ignorant about how taxes work, don't hate somebody because they have knowledge on how to go about doing their taxes. I know there's a lot of people on the left, and I don't want you to hate these people. You know, you don't have to hang out with them or anything. You don't have to do that. But don't hate them because they don't know what they're talking about. President Donald Trump has thrived where others have failed. President Donald Trump was right about everything, even decades before he was president. He spoke like a true American all of his life. He didn't want the bullies as China, Russia, and any other bully around the world take advantage of the United States of America. And let me tell you why that's so special. Here is an American that defends his nation. I appreciate that. You know why? Because I became part of this nation that he defends. And I want every other migrant that wants to come to this country to do it right, do it legally. And if you appreciate the leaders and the Americans who actually look out for the well-being of this country and protects it and fights for it, you should be happy to say, I want to be there, because that person fights for this country. President Trump put tariffs. I support it 100%. I know the consequences. I know the dealings with it. I know it's a roller coaster in the economy. I get it. But I am nobody's fool. And I hate being manipulated by every other fool on the left side. When they lie to you, when they tell you you're a failure, you're nobody, when they tell you that being straight is evil, when they tell you that believing in God is evil, when they tell you that loving your neighbor is evil, let them be miserable. But we're not going to be miserable. We're going to continue to fight for what we feel is right, what we know is to be just and fair. All of the Democrats, 99% of Democrats, did not say American citizens come before illegal immigrants. 99% of Democrats. That's a damn shame. And some of the people, it's okay. Let them insult me. Get to know who they are. Let the insults stay on the chat. Don't delete the insults. Let them. Let them. I want you to know the difference on the libtards and the Americans who want to fight for this country. I want you to read the chat. I'm not going to shelter you from the reality that these libtards exist. I don't want to shelter you from the insults that these morons put on there. They have nothing good to say about this country. Not one of them stands up for America. Even those so-called veterans who so believe that they're more patriotic than everybody else, even they hate America. Why do I say that? Because they don't support the policies that puts American citizens first. They don't support the policies that puts America first. Nothing that President Donald Trump and the administration have done, even if there is proof, like securing the border, power, the peace through strength, even that they don't support. And yet, the world is celebrating everything that we do. See, the libtards will like you to believe that the world is making fun of us. Sure, whatever. Those are our enemies. But the good people of the world are out there on the streets celebrating. Especially right now, Iranian flags waving everywhere. Iranian citizens crying of joy and happiness. Thank you, President Trump, dancing the YMCA song. Venezuela, flying Venezuelan flags. Not an invasion not in a protest against the United States, but as a form of thank you. It's a form of thankfulness, raising the Venezuelan flag to show the American people that these Venezuelans love you. No protest. It is the big difference when somebody raises the flag of their country of origin and shows it to you, the American people, saying, listen, I appreciate what you have done for my country land. But the libtards that go out there, burn the American flag, and for some reason, they want to raise the Mexican flag and the Honduran flag while they're pissing on the American flag, the libtards celebrate that. While the real Americans, the real patriots of this country, in disgust and shame that those people are in this country. You know who I speak for? I speak for every American who is tired of foreigners taking advantage of the kindness of this country. That's who I speak for. If you're an illegal immigrant on my chat, I don't give a crap about your opinion. You can say whatever you want. I don't defend a party. I defend the country. It's very simple. Would I run as a Republican? Absolutely. Sure. They have the policies that are for American citizens. So yes, I would. And I'm no longer a foreigner. I am now an American citizen. You know, the leftist morons saying stupid things like that, like Eddie. Eddie is an idiot. He's probably illegal. But let me tell you something. You are scum. Let me tell you why. When a child gets adopted into a family, they are looked at and they are treated as the same as the biological children of that family. Something the libtards will never understand. So that's right. I have pride in this country. And I am proud to be an American. Because I have been accepted. You know why I was accepted? You know why I was accepted? I follow the law. I kept my record clean. I'm not a criminal. I was fully vetted. And the best thing of all, I love this country. So when I made my oath, I made it with all of my heart and my love and my thankfulness to God for the privilege and the honor to have become an American citizen. Only Satan says such hateful comments. I like it when I tell my American family, you know, I'm a migrant that came to this country. You're not a migrant, you're our brother. They shut me up. And I love it. I love it. I will never tell an adopted son or daughter that they are not really the daughter or the son of the family. It's the stupidest comment, and next time keep that to yourself. I can only imagine how much you dislike your children and dislike the children of others. I can only imagine how righteous you people are talking about that. Who says that? You will never be white. Who's trying to be white? We're American. American doesn't mean white. Anybody that says that is racist. It's very sad. I've been in this country for over 37 years. Thank you, big bro. 37 some years. And I love this country. I love it. It disgusts me, and it's so shameful that we have so much garbage in this country. But let me tell you something. God can turn that garbage into something worthy of being proud of. I love it. All these homeless people, these drug addicts, full of diseases. Democrats like to give them drugs, free drugs. Allow them to go in the streets and rob stores, steal from QFC, from Safeways, from Kroger's, from Fred Meyer's, from Walmart's. Democrats support criminality. We don't stand for that. Zero tolerance for criminals. Zero tolerance. We have billions of dollars in fraud. We have a affordability crisis that the Democrats have put us in. The least that they can do is try to audit, investigate, find out why the money is gone. Do you know what the answer is when we ask our government, what happened to the $9.5 billion that you took of taxes from the people? You know what the answer is? I don't know. That's the answer. I don't know. They just passed a state income tax. Where's the money? They don't know. The answer is, I don't know. And that's what we have to fight today. I'm not talking about going out there and shooting somebody. I'm not talking about going out there and physically getting into a fight with somebody, but fight for what's right. To defend our rights, our privilege of being Americans. There's nothing wrong with defending our borders. There's nothing wrong with wanting everybody to be here, but they got to be here legally. I know there's a lot of people out there that have come here illegally but are now legal. Hey, you caught a break. Good for you. Man, God bless you. I hope you're taking advantage of it and you're giving back to this country what you have been taking, even if it's illegally. But the fact is that if you do get caught being illegal, you got to go. And you don't get the right to blame this country. You don't get to blame the administration that is enforcing the law. You break it, you know the consequences. You come into somebody's house unannounced, illegally, and you break into their house, your ass is getting shot. The administration doesn't shoot you when they find you illegal. The administration is actually paying illegal immigrants to self-deport. Kramer says, why are we paying them? They came here illegally and they pay to come here illegally. They can walk back and pay for leaving the country. You know what? I agree. But this administration is spending money to help them and say, hey, listen, we don't hate you. We just cannot allow you to be in this country illegally. It gives the wrong message to the world. I support President Trump 100% because he loves America. Is he making billions? Probably. Sure. Let him. He's not making billions of dollars off of your taxes. We can't even pay $1 million. Let him make some money. If you are a Democrat or if you are a person that doesn't say shit about Nancy Pelosi and their millions, if you don't say anything about Ilhan and her millions, if you don't say anything about any other politician that has become a millionaire while serving in office, then shut the hell up about President Trump making money. Cutting Edge, thanks for the super, brother. We're all Americans since this represents the entire American continent. The idea is to have the culture and freedom of a true American. That's what the USA represents. Man, you're Dominican Republican. You're not American. I'm American from Central America. But you know, the difference is, you know, if I play soccer in Mexico for the Americas, that doesn't mean that I'm an American because I play soccer for the American team in Mexico. If I say I'm an American, it's not because, I'm an American because of the continent. I'm an American because the name of the nation is named after the continent of America. I know you know what I'm talking about. Carnage is my boy. I'm not talking bad about him. The United States of America, that's why we're called Americans once we become citizens. Did you know that Mexico is the United States of Mexico? And they call themselves Mexicans. But it's not Mexican, it's Mexican. That's what they are. And yet they call themselves Mexican. Very interesting, isn't it? I find it interesting. Anyways, enough ranting. I love President Donald Trump. And we do need to get to this press conference because I haven't heard it yet. Now, this happened before the live that I just shared, but I wanted to get President Trump in here as live as possible. All right, here we go. We're going to get another moment of silence from me so you guys can take a break from hearing me ranting about how much I love President Trump in this country and every single one of you mofos that are in this land. Help me. Help me make America great again. Help me make the United States of America great again, if that makes more sense to you. Help us. Let's come together. Stop putting all of your efforts on hating a man, and let's work together. Listen, you guys on the left, you were fighting and crying and throwing fits. Oh, democracy. Democracy is at stake. Oh, democracy is in danger. Shut the hell up. We voted. We won. Let us have our victory. Stop being a sore loser. Come on. Let it go. Speaking words of wisdom, let it be, let it be. The Beatles, what a great band for that time. All right, let's get back to hearing our beautiful Americans give us an update on things. Go ahead, Carolyn, what you got?
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Under the leadership of President Donald J. Trump, the rogue Iranian terrorist regime is being
I had to answer this comment. I'm going to tell you something. Ron's knowing. Dennis, did you get a tax return this year? I know that you're not going to want to hear this, but it's the biggest tax return I have ever gotten in my life. Bam! Let's go. Robert, and that's why, my friend, I'm about to get my flags here very soon. Now, the flags that I got another American flag, okay? So I got this flag with the pole. It's an 8-foot pole. Right now, when I'm sitting down, I got to make it shorter. But I got that flag, and then I got another one just like it. But I'm going to use the pole because I am getting an Honduras flag. Not to disrespect the American flag. I want to have both of them behind me. And the third flag, eventually, I am going to get another pole. They're like, $80 a pole. I think maybe I can find something cheaper. But, I like the golden eagle back there, even though it's not real gold. But it just looks beautiful. And so I order another one with the American flag, but then I have to wait for the Honduran flag to come in here. I think it's going to take like 2 weeks, I think, something like that. So I'm going to have an American flag on the right and an American flag on my left. And I'm so excited, guys. I am so stoked about it. I don't know, little things, right? The little things. Plus, I'm getting my new pin. So you guys probably can see this in here, but this is the American flag. But then I have a big pin that is for, going to be for the 250th birthday of the United States of America. Okay, all right. Let's see. I think he left. It was somebody with a Hispanic name. Um, yeah, I don't know why people do that, man. People are stupid, bro. People are stupid like that. But it's okay. All right, let's go ahead and listen to our beautiful, lovely Carolyn Levitt and that beautiful baby growing inside that belly.
Absolutely crushed. 47 years of tolerating and enabling the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism are over. Iran's murderous terrorist leaders are paying for their crimes against America, and they are paying in blood. Since 1979, the terrorist Iranian regime has actively and intentionally facilitated the killings of Americans. They chant death.
Oh, sorry, Carolyn. Pause. Karin, thanks for the super. The current political constitution has been in effect since 1917, and the term was already in use since the 1824 Constitution. Out of interest is being federal. That is why United Mexican States appears in official documents. And you know what? And Mexicans should be proud of it. Here's a fun fact. Belize was called Honduras before, and Honduras was called Guanaja. Guanaja is our native name for Honduras and the islands. But then it was changed to Honduras, which means great depth. And Belize was changed for the name of the river that led to the god Iza. I think that's how it is. All right, now fake god, false god, but still, they called it. The Mayans called him Iza, a god, and I didn't know this, but Belize has some beautiful Mayan ruins, very beautiful, some nice caves to explore. I might have to go there one day to check it out. But for now, I want to say, hey, Cutting Edge, man, thank you, my brother. I appreciate your support. And okay, let's get to it, guys. The only time I'm going to interrupt is if we get super chats, but other than that, let's go ahead and stay on point.
To America and fund other radical terrorists who attack our country and are seeking to destroy Western civilization itself. These terrorists seized our embassy and took 66 Americans hostage in Tehran. They slaughtered 241 U.S. service members with a truck bombing in Beirut. They killed and maimed hundreds of American service members in Iraq, and this is just a small fraction of their blood-soaked record. Prior leaders have been too weak and ineffective to address this threat. Some, like Barack Hussein Obama, even sent pallets of cash that ultimately financed this terrorist crusade against the United States and our people, while signing stupid and naive deals that put Iran on the path of developing nuclear bombs. After years of endless appeasement and empty statements from politicians on both sides of the political aisle in this town, President Trump is finally the man of action. President Trump is holding these monsters accountable and permanently extinguishing their nuclear ambitions. Future generations of Americans will look to this moment as the moment where the specter of a nuclear armed Iran ended. At the beginning of Operation Epic Fury, launched last weekend, President Trump laid out clear objectives to the American people on what the U.S. military seeks to accomplish through these major combat operations. Number one, destroy the regime's deadly ballistic missiles and completely raze their missile industry to the ground. Number two, annihilate the Iranian regime's navy. And so far, we have destroyed more than 20 Iranian ships, including their top submarine last night, using a torpedo for the first time since World War II. There is not a single Iranian ship underway in the Arabian Gulf, Strait of Hormuz, or the Gulf of Oman. Number three, Operation Epic Fury will ensure the regime's terrorist proxies in the region can no longer destabilize the region or the free world and attack our armed forces. And thus far, Iran's proxies are hardly putting up a fight. Number four, this mission will guarantee that Iran can never obtain a nuclear weapon. It's safe to say that thus far, Operation Epic Fury has been a resounding success. American forces have struck more than 2,000 targets, destroying hundreds and hundreds of ballistic missiles, launchers, and drones. As the Department of War said this morning, we expect to have complete and total dominance over Iranian airspace in the coming hours, clearing the skies for our brave warriors to continue achieving these noble and long sought-after objectives. There's been a lot of misreporting and intellectual dishonesty from the American media on why President Trump decided to launch this operation. So let me remind you, Operation Midnight Hammer, which took place last June, obliterated Iran's 3 major nuclear sites. Yet the terrorist Iranian regime has remained fully committed to rebuilding its nuclear program. How do we know this? Because Iran has pursued this path of war and violence despite President Trump dispatching 2 of his top and most trusted negotiators to engage in exhaustive and good faith negotiations to try and reach a deal. And the world knows this president's preference is always peace and diplomacy first. Look no further than the 8 additional global conflicts he has ended in the past year as proof. Unfortunately, the terrorist Iranian regime refused to negotiate in good faith. They chose this path of violence and destruction, and they are reaping the consequences of their horrible decision. The regime did what they always have done. They lied, they delayed, they tried to string the United States of America along. They wanted to buy themselves time to continue building ballistic missiles and other deadly weaponry that could harm our U.S. personnel and troops in the region, and to continue aggressively pursuing their unacceptable nuclear ambitions. U.S. negotiators offered to lift crippling sanctions on Iran and even provide nuclear fuel to Iran at no cost to support a civil nuclear power program. They additionally had the opportunity to accept U.S. support as an investor in potential projects to develop peaceful nuclear energy together under a mutually agreed upon framework. Yet in response, Iran would have to forfeit their enrichment capacity once and for all. But Iran rejected. They accepted none of these generous and unprecedented offers by the United States. Simply put, they refused to say yes to peace. And their refusal made clear that their #1 priority was building a nuclear weapon with which to threaten the United States of America. Again, the country they have been chanting death to for nearly 5 decades. Let me state this again clearly. Iran rejected the path of peace because the terrorists in charge of this regime wanted to build nuclear weapons to use against Americans and our allies. President Trump made the determination, a courageous determination and decision, that the path the United States was on with Iran had only one outcome: massive death and destruction at the hands of a nuclear-armed terroristic regime. That path of death and destruction and threats against the American people have ended with Operation Epic Fury. Operation Epic Fury has forged a new path that will better ensure the security of the United States and our people. The terrorists made a bet that President Trump would be like many of his predecessors, that he would just talk and he would refuse to enforce his clear red lines. But that has proven to be a catastrophic error in judgment. When President Trump makes a threat, and I have reiterated that threat many times from this podium to all of you over the past year, President Trump does not bluff. The president's words are backed up by the mightiest warriors in the world who possess the most sophisticated capabilities this world has ever known. 49 and counting of the most senior Iranian regime leaders, including the supreme leader, have already been wiped off the face of the earth. Make no mistake, killing these brutal terrorists is good for America and makes the world a much safer place. I want to also extend our prayers and condolences to the families of the 6 U.S. military service members who have been lost in Operation Epic Fury. These heroes represent the very best among us. They laid down their lives in defense of our country, and we will never forget their legacy or their sacrifice. As the president said, we grieve for these American patriots and their families as we continue the righteous mission for which they gave their lives. President Trump intends to attend the dignified transfer of these American heroes to stand in grief alongside their families. I understand the Department of War is working on scheduling this transfer, and we will provide updates at the appropriate time. Finally, the Trump administration is also doing everything within our power to protect Americans in harm's way. Since the launch of Operation Epic Fury, more than 17,500 Americans have safely returned home from the Middle East, with over 8,500 American citizens returning home to the United States just yesterday alone. If you are a U.S. citizen in the Middle East looking to return to the United States, the Secretary of State asks that you please register with the State Department at step.state.gov. The State Department will identify where you are and provide travel options directly to you. The administration is already rapidly chartering flights free of charge and booking commercial options, which we expect to become increasingly available as time goes on and the success of this mission further comes to fruition. I know the President and Secretary of State Rubio have been in touch as well with our allies in the region directly about this problem, making it clear that it is a priority of the United States of America to bring every American home. The Trump administration will not rest until every American is home safely and until the terrorist threat from Iran has been completely destroyed. With that, I'll take your questions. Eric, why don't you kick us off today? Thank you for being here.
Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here. As you mentioned, Iran's regime, its leadership has largely been decimated. Do we have a sense right now of who is actually calling the shots in Iran? And we're also hearing reports that the Supreme Leader's son may be named his successor. Do you have any more information about that? I just had a quick follow-up as well.
Sure. We've seen those reports as well, of course, and this is something that our intelligence agencies are closely monitoring and looking at. The truth is, we'll have to wait and see. The president has said repeatedly that the objectives of Operation Epic Fury are the 4 military objectives that I laid out for you previously: to destroy Iran's navy, to destroy their ballistic missile capacity, to ensure their proxies in the region can no longer harm Americans, and to also ensure that they can never obtain a nuclear weapon. As for what comes next for Iran, the president has said, of course, it's a good thing for the United States to want freedom for the Iranian people, and ultimately we hope that freedom rests in their hands.
Caroline, we see the Arab and Muslim nations coming under fire as well. President Trump's vision for the region has been to bring the Arab and Muslim nations to the table together, Abraham Accords, obviously, with Israel. If this regime topples, could we see a new day in the region and really a new Middle East come out of this when the dust settles?
Well, the greatest deterrent to true and long-lasting peace in the Middle East has always been the rogue Iranian terrorist regime. And our Arab and Gulf partners in the nation admit that, as well as, of course, our close friend and ally Israel. We have seen all of the Arab partners in the region come together during this time on the phone with President Trump, many of them commending him for this bold and brave action to protect American troops and our bases in the region that are housed in many of these Arab and Gulf states. And I know that many of these regional partners are contributing their air defense capabilities as well: Jordan, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, and the president continues to be engaged with all of them. Welcome. Garrett.
Also have two, if you'll humor me. Axios, I think, was the first to report this morning this phone call between the president and Prime Minister Netanyahu, saying that Netanyahu had given the U.S. this information about where the Ayatollah would be and that he'd be with his deputies on Saturday. How important was that information in the president making the decision to strike where and when he did?
I think it was important with respect to the timeline, but I think the president, prior to that phone call, had a good feeling that the Iranian regime was going to strike the United States assets and our personnel in the region. And the president was faced with a choice. Does the United States of America use our military and our capabilities to strike first, to take out this threat that has been threatening our country and our people for 47 years, or is he going to, as commander-in-chief, sit back and watch as the rogue Iranian regime attacks our people in the region? That's obviously an unacceptable decision. For the second choice there is unacceptable to the president, which is why he made this decision. As for where the Ayatollah was going to be, that obviously had an impact on the timeline of the operation, but not quite the president's decision in its entirety.
And then on the way the public is viewing this, we were sitting here last week. I asked you if the president was going to make this a big part of the State of the Union, if he felt like he had to sell the possibility that he'd do strikes like this. We're now 5 days on. He hasn't done kind of the traditional speech to the nation part of it. Does the president believe the country supports the actions that he's taken so far in Iran?
I think he does, and I think the president knows the country is smart enough to read past many of the fake news headlines produced by people in this room that this action was unjustifiable. Again, this is a rogue terrorist regime that has been threatening the United States, our allies, and our people for 47 years. And the American people are smart enough to know that. And they've also been smart enough to listen to the president himself, not just over the past year in this second term, but during his first term as president, and also for the past 40 years of his life. This is a president who has been remarkably consistent on this issue, that Iran can never obtain a nuclear weapon. And the president tried peace through diplomacy, exhaustively and extensively. He and his team gave it their best go, and the president ultimately came to the determination of that peace was not a pursuable path. The Iranian regime, they want death, they want destruction, they want to kill Americans, and that's unacceptable to this president. It's intolerable to him as commander-in-chief. Jackie.
Thank you, Caroline. Obviously seen the update from the State Department on the 17,500 Americans that have already come back, including some 8,000 just yesterday. There are still 6,000 that are looking to get out, as I understand it. And just in the context of what you just told Garrett about the president's decision on a timeline, if he had decided to do this strike before receiving, the specific intelligence about the meeting on Saturday, should there have been more done in advance of the strikes to try to get those Americans in the region resources and information to get home before day 3 of the war?
There was many signs put out by the State Department, and I wish that everyone in this room would report on them. The Secretary of State issued level 4 travel advisories dating back to January for many of these countries in the region. On January 14th, the U.S. mission to Saudi Arabia advised personnel and Americans to exercise increased caution and limit non-essential travel to any military installations. On February 11th, the U.S. Department of State Consular Affairs shared a list of countries with level 4 do not travel advisories. You can't be much more clear than that. Do not travel to these following countries. On February 23rd, the U.S. Embassy in Lebanon ordered non-emergency government personnel and family members to leave Lebanon due to safety risks, and we helped them do that. On March 2nd, the State Department urged U.S. citizens to depart Lebanon immediately. With respect to Iran, on February 27th, the Secretary designated Iran as a state of sponsor of wrongful detention and stated no American should travel to Iran for any reason. And again, on February 27th, the U.S. ambassador to Israel warned Americans to leave Iran, and they provided travel advisory alerts through the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem. So the State Department was all hands on deck on advising extreme caution and do not travel alerts to Americans in the region. With respect to the Americans who are still in the region now, again, the State Department is asking that they register at the website so they can directly identify you, and we are actively and rapidly working to charter flights. There is some commercial flights that are taking off intermittently from these countries, and we plan to get Americans on board as quickly as possible, again, free of charge to them. And we have some additional measures that I think will be announced in the coming days. Again, I can also reiterate from the president's perspective, this is something he's brought up directly with our allies and partners in the region, that we expect their help in getting Americans home, and we will do that, and we will not rest until every single American is returned home safely.
Thank you. And then one follow-up just on how people might be experiencing this at home. With respect to the economy and the cost of oil spiking, is there a need to start those Navy escorts in the Strait of Hormuz now to sort of blunt the impact to people? And also, because Spain is a member of the EU, does that at all put a wrinkle in the president's plan for a trade embargo with them?
With respect to Spain, I think they heard the president's message yesterday loud and clear. And it's my understanding over the past several hours they've agreed to cooperate with the U.S. military. And so I know that the U.S. military is coordinating with their counterparts in Spain. But the president expects all of our European allies, of course, to cooperate in this long sought after mission, not just for the United States, but also for Europe, to crush the rogue Iranian regime that, again, not only threatens America, but also threatens our European allies as well. With respect to oil prices and the economy here at home, of course, this is something that Secretary Bessent, Secretary Wright, the National Economic Council of Energy, that is led by Secretary Burgum, has been long working on and well in advance. Yesterday, President Trump announced the U.S. Development Finance Corporation will provide political risk insurance at a very reasonable price for crude carriers and cargo ships operating in and around the Gulf. And as you pointed out, Jackie, the president said if necessary and when appropriate, the U.S. Navy will begin escorting tankers through the Strait of Hormuz. I think it speaks to why this action was so necessary, that ultimately the energy industry is going to benefit from the president's actions with respect to Iran, because Iran will no longer be controlling the Strait of Hormuz and restricting the free flow of energy, which, as you all know, controls 20% of the world's global oil supply.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, Caroline. The president said yesterday there wasn't time to make evacuation plans because this all happened so quickly. Given how critical the president has been of the chaotic evacuation from Afghanistan by the last administration 5 years ago, why wasn't there more of a focus on evacuation plans from the Middle East that could have been at least put in place, ready to go before the strikes this weekend?
Again, I just laid out for you that there have been plans in place and that the State Department has been very clear to the American people traveling within this region not to travel to these regions. We gave notices to leave immediately the countries where these Americans were within. And unlike the previous administration, we actually have a number. We actually have identified the number of people in the region who have requested help. We are in direct contact and engagement with them. And you have to keep in mind, there's a few thousand people who have requested assistance to come home in comparison to the millions who we understand are in the region. So we will help every single American who wants to come home if they're making that request of the State Department.
Americans who called the State Department hotline as recently as last night were being told, we can't help you, you have to make your own plans.
Well, the line was updated, and I expect every single person in this room to report on that accurately, so that information can be relayed appropriately to your audiences and to the American people. I think as journalists, you all have a responsibility to let them know that the line has been updated accordingly with the proper guidance, because I saw many people in this room very quick to do selfie videos with the line yesterday, but not so quick to report on the corrected message today. So that is something the administration quickly worked to address, and we have fixed that problem. However, we're also pointing to people to the website, again, to register so that we know exactly where you are. So when there are commercial flights moving into that area, when there are chartered flights moving into that area, we can get Americans on planes as quickly as possible.
Do you have any details on how many charter flights have been able to get out of the region so far with Americans on board?
I don't have an exact count for you, but I know that we're working on chartering many flights. As soon as we were doing it yesterday, we're doing it again today. And you should not expect us to detail exactly when these flights are taking off for obvious reasons. The Iranians have shown that they are not going to hesitate to target civilians in the region, which is completely intolerable. But for safety and security reasons, we're not going to be broadcasting when flights full of Americans are going to be taking off, obviously. Danny.
At the top there, you said that the Iranian regime is being absolutely crushed. Can you explicitly say then whether or not regime change is a goal of President Trump's operation?
The goals of this operation have been made very clear, Danny, and the president has said them in his speech when he launched this operation and released that video in the middle of the night to all of you and to the world. The stated military objectives of Operation Epic Fury are as follows: eliminate Iran's ballistic missile threat, destroy their naval capability, disrupt missile and drone production infrastructure, sever their pathway and end their pathway to nuclear weapons. And I can report, as you all saw from the Pentagon today, that thus far this operation has been remarkably successful. Again, we're moving towards complete and total control of Iranian airspace. We have continuous 24/7 strike operations ongoing. We've had more than 2,000 targets that have been struck. Nearly 2,000 munitions have been employed. The first 24 hours of this campaign were described nearly as twice the scale of the 2003 shock and awe campaign. And we've seen that the enemy, the Iranian rogue regime, their retaliatory strikes against the United States and the threat reduction has reduced significantly. If you look at the Iranian ballistic missile launches, they're down 86% from day one levels. So while the United States military continues to increase its complete dominance over this rogue regime, they are weakening day by day.
Regime change is not a phrase that you would want to use.
Again, Operation Epic Fury, I just detailed the goals and objectives of this very quickly. But obviously, as the president has said numerous times, do we want to see Iran being led by a rogue terrorist regime? No, of course not. So any day the United States of America is taking out a terrorist is a good day for our country and a good day for our people.
So
Given that point that you just make about the United States wouldn't mind seeing the government overthrown, certainly President Trump has talked about wanting to see Iranians overthrow the government. Has the president considered at all kind of how he views a U.S. role, if any, in Iran post-conflict?
I think it's something the president is actively considering and discussing with his advisors and his national security team. But again, right now, the focus, minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day, is on ensuring the quick and effective success of Operation Epic Fury. Sure. Go ahead.
I want to ask you about the U.S. munitions stockpile.
I don't even know who's speaking because I wasn't looking at you. You can ask a question and then I'll go to you.
Caroline, I want to ask you about the U.S. munitions stockpile. President Trump posted on Truth Social on Monday that the U.S. still has a good supply of weapons, but that we're not where we need to be. What does he mean by that? And does President Trump then want to ask on Congress to pass a supplemental to increase funding for missile interceptor systems like the ones being used to defend U.S. bases in the Middle East from Iranian missiles?
I don't have any updates for you on congressional asks from the president. As you know, under this president, we have significantly increased our defense budget, which is a good thing for the United States, for our national security, and for protecting our homeland. With respect to munitions, ammunition, weapon stockpiles, the United States of America has more than enough capability to not only successfully execute Operation Epic Fury, but to go much further. And we have weapon stockpiles in places that many people in this world don't even know about. However, the president in that post was pointing out that, unfortunately, we had a very stupid and incompetent leader in this White House for 4 years who gave away many of our best weapons for nothing, for free, to another country very far away by the name of Ukraine. So the president was pointing out how that was an unwise decision, but nevertheless, don't doubt the strength and the might of the American military. And I will also add, President Trump has rightfully been calling on defense contractors in this country to rapidly and aggressively produce American-made weapons because they are the best in the world, and the president always likes to get things done as quickly as possible, and so he's been quite vocal in his efforts to try to speed up our defense industry to protect our homeland.
Caroline, can we move some?
Go ahead.
Caroline, could you tell us about the president's current thinking about ground troops and whether they could be used, if they were to be sent into Iran, what would they be used for? What's the situation?
Well, they're not part of the plan for this operation at this time, but I certainly will never take away military options on behalf of the President of the United States or the Commander-in-Chief, and he wisely does not do the same for himself. I know there's many leaders in the past who like to take options off of the table without having a full understanding of how things could develop. So again, it's not part of the current plan, but I'm not going to remove an option for the president that is on the table. Sean.
Did the United States airstrike a girls' elementary school and kill 175 people?
Not that we know of, Sean, and the Department of War is investigating this matter, and I would just tell you very strongly, the United States of America does not target civilians, unlike the rogue Iranian regime that targets civilians, that kills children, that has killed thousands of their own people in the past several weeks, and uses propaganda quite effectively, and unfortunately, many people in this room have fallen for that propaganda. So I would caution you from pointing the finger at the United States of America when it comes to targeting civilians, because that's not something that these armed forces do. Reagan.
Thanks, Caroline. Prior to the Iran conflict, the SAVE Act was really the focus of the news cycle. Is the SAVE Act still a priority for the administration?
Absolutely.
Could you just provide an update on the administration's talks with Congress to get the SAVE Act through?
SAVE Act is absolutely still a priority for this president and the administration. The focus, of course, of much of the president's time right now is on ensuring the success of Operation Epic Fury, but the president can walk and chew gum at the same time, and he's very much continuing to focus on the issues that matter here at home for the American people, including the passage of the SAVE Act, including on bringing down the cost of living, which is why you'll see the president in about an hour and a half at the Ratepayer Protection Pledge Roundtable, where he will be sitting with big tech companies, with AI companies who are building in communities across the country and have pledged to pick up the cost of the electricity tab in these small towns and communities across the country, which is a great thing for American consumers. So you'll be hearing from the president directly on this very important domestic agenda item later this afternoon, and it's something that he mentioned in his State of Union address. So check it off the list as another promise made and kept by this president. Sure, go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline. I just wanted to get back to Danny's question. So those 4 objectives that you read out do not explicitly include regime change. If those objectives were achieved and the Islamic Republic still existed, would that be an acceptable outcome?
That's a hypothetical question that I'm not going to engage in. Again, right now, the President and the Commander-in-Chief are focused on executing the success of Operation Epic Fury, which we are already doing so in a very tremendous and impressionable way. Stephen.
Thank you, Caroline. 2 questions. The Trump administration reportedly is considering arming Kurdish forces in the hopes of inspiring a popular uprising in Iran. Could you comment on that report?
I can comment on the fact that the President has held many calls with partners, allies, and leaders in the region, in the Middle East. He did speak to Kurdish leaders with respect to our base that we have in northern Iraq. But as for any report suggesting that the President has agreed to any such plan is completely false and should not be written.
President Trump was saying yesterday that he is okay with someone from within taking over in Iran. He spoke about how Venezuela he saw as a successful model where Delcy Rodriguez took over and had a better relationship. Iran's President Pezeshkian, he took office in 2024 as a relative reformer. He's part of a 3-man council now replacing the supreme leader. Does President Trump see him as a potential successor who is more pliable?
Again, that's another hypothetical, and I haven't spoken to the President about this specific individual, so I don't want to get ahead of him on any assessments that should be made.
Thank you. Yesterday, the President acknowledged that oil prices will be a bit high. As for gas prices here in the U.S., what is the admin doing right now to counter that? I mean, should they skyrocket? Is there a plan to help, Americans right now with those higher gas prices? And then a second question. On the rash that was on the President's neck, the White House physician said it was a preventative skin cream that he was using, but why is the President using this cream? What are they trying to prevent with this cream?
To your second question, I don't have anything additional to add to the physician statement that we provided to all of you on those questions, but I know the statement said that the redness on the neck will dissipate within the next couple of weeks. To your first question about oil prices, thank God we have a president who has exuded American energy dominance over the past year, an administration that is wholeheartedly focused on keeping prices stable as best as we can. Of course, this operation is temporary to protect the homeland, but crude oil prices did fall yesterday. They remain stable today after the President announced steps to ensure the stability in global energy markets. Again, those include the DEC offering reasonably priced political risk insurance and the potential for the U.S. Navy to provide protection for the flow of energy through the Strait of Hormuz. It is the President's belief and his economic team's belief that the economy continues to be very strong, it's robust, and will be able to weather any of the temporary impacts of Operation Epic Fury. John.
Thanks a lot, Caroline. Just to follow up to that, the timeline for making the Strait of Hormuz safe for oil tankers to transport their oil through the strait, what is that timeline, and what can the President do to speed up that timeline?
I don't want to commit to a timeline, but certainly it's something that is being calculated actively by both the Department of War and the Department of Energy. They're working very closely. Both secretaries are in all of the briefings on this subject with the President, and this is, again, something they're monitoring. And if and when necessary, the United States Navy will provide assistance to escort oil tankers through the strait. Sure, in the blue.
Thank you, Caroline.
You're not in blue, Andrew. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I guess you are, sort of. I'll go to you after.
You had mentioned about the commercial aircraft being used for the evacuations. What about the use of military aircraft? Would that happen in conjunction with that or subsequent to?
That is something that is definitely underway, and of course we're going to use that in conjunction. We want as many planes, whether they're chartered, commercial, or military, taking Americans out of the Middle East and returning them safely home. So yes. Andrew, go ahead. You're welcome.
At the top of the briefing, you listed a long list of grievances against the Iranian government, going back to the takeover of the embassy in '79, barracks bombing in the 80s, etc. But no one from the administration has laid out the imminent threat that was supposed to be taken care of by this. And the rationales offered by, say, Secretary Rubio, the President's National Security Advisor, said that the threat was retaliation against American interests from Iran after Israeli strikes. The president says it was his own feeling that Iran was going to attack. Why is it that across the administration you can't say what the imminent threat against the United States was that required us to launch this? And also, Prime Minister Starmer told Parliament today that his reason that he didn't allow the use of British bases was that he was not satisfied that there was a lawful basis and a viable, thought-through plan. Was there an attempt to provide the UK government with a legal basis for these strikes and a viable, thought-through plan?
To the first question, I completely reject the premise of your question. You have had the President of the United States, the Secretary of War, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, the Vice President of the United States, the Secretary of State, and now I am out here today to explain to you exactly what led the President to make the decision to launch Operation Epic Fury. And President Trump does not make these decisions in a vacuum. This decision to launch this operation was based on a cumulative effect of various direct threats that Iran posed to the United States of America, and the President's feeling based on fact that Iran does pose an imminent and direct threat to the United States of America, based on the fact that they are the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism, based on the fact that they were rapidly and aggressively building up their ballistic missile program to give themselves immunity within their country alongside their navy, so that inside their country they could continue to create nuclear weapons and nuclear bombs, which would of course pose a risk to Americans in the region and even Americans one day here at home. And then another point on this is the President found that through these extensive, exhaustive, failed negotiations with Iran, that they were hell-bent on death and destruction. So again, the President was not going to be just another president on a very long list who sat back and stood by and passed the buck of this direct threat to the next administration. The President had a feeling, again, based on fact, that Iran was going to strike the United States, was going to strike our assets in the region, and he made a determination to launch Operation Epic Fury based on all of those reasons. And I would like the media to actually report on all of them, rather than just picking sound bites from one person in this administration and saying, oh, they're contradicting the other person. No, again, these decisions are not made in a vacuum. They are made by the President's feeling that Iran was going to strike the United States and our assets in the region, and he was not going to sit back and watch that happen. The determination was made that the President was going to strike first alongside Israel, and that has obviously been proven to be the right decision and an effective one at that. Libby, go ahead.
Thank you, Caroline. A two-part question for you here. First, has the President spoken with the family members of those U.S. service members that were killed? Second, given what you've outlined throughout this entire briefing, I mean, the United States has sunk a bunch of Navy ships. We've hit all of these targets. What can Americans expect the goal to be moving forward now that the U.S. has accomplished all of this? What is victory, given we've even taken out Iran's supreme leader? That was an explicit goal.
Again, victory will be determined by the Commander-in-Chief once the goals and the objectives that we have repeatedly laid out are fully realized. Again, we just, in the next few hours, will be achieving that dominance over the skies, which means the United States military will be raining missiles and weapons down on Iran to hit these specific targets that have been identified as crucial to take out by the Department of War. Sure, John.
Thank you so much, Caroline. Has the U.S. posture changed in regard to a nuclear North Korea, given the latest strikes on Iran and the fact that the stated goal is to make sure that Iran is not a nuclear country?
I don't have any change in position with respect to North Korea today.
Thank you. A quick follow-up. There's been reports that Ali Khamenei's son has been elected as the next supreme leader. Does the administration think that he is a part of the same regime as his father? Would they like people in the country to rise up and get him out of power?
There's reports he's been elected, or that he's assuming to be elected. One of the likely options.
Pardon me, what was that?
That he's one of the likely options, or that he has been elected. Okay, so we'll wait to confirm until someone actually is active. Caitlin.
You just mentioned that the president is going to attend the dignified transfer for these families. Given what Secretary Hegseth said this morning, is it the position of this administration that the press should not prominently cover the deaths of U.S. service members?
No, it's the position of this administration that the press in this room and the press across the country should accurately report on the success of Operation Epic Fury and the damage it is doing to the rogue Iranian regime that has threatened the lives of every single American in this room. If the Iranian regime had their choice, they would kill every single person in this room. And so we can all be very grateful that we have an administration and that we have men and women in our armed forces who are willing to sacrifice their own lives for the rest of us in this room and for every American across the country and for every troop that is based in the Middle East. That's what these...
Secretary Hegseth was complaining that it was front page news about these 6 service members who were killed.
That's not what the Secretary said, Caitlin, and that's not what the Secretary meant, and you know it. You know you are being disingenuous. There is not... We've never had a Secretary of Defense who cares more...
Drones get through or tragic things happen, it's front page news. I get it, the press only wants to make the president look bad.
Yeah,
As you know, we cover the deaths of U.S. service members under every president.
The press does only want to make the president look bad. That's a fact, especially you. No, listen to me. Especially you and especially CNN. And the Secretary of Defense cares deeply about our war fighters and our men and women in uniform. He travels all across this country to meet with them, to connect with them, and your network has hardly ever probably reported on that. You also had the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Chairman Kane, who's a brave patriot, standing alongside the Secretary at the Pentagon this morning, again expressing his condolences to these families. And I just told you that the President of the United States will be attending their dignified transfer. So please,
That's not making the president look bad. That's showcasing that.
We expect you to cover that as you should. We expect you to cover that as you should, Caitlin. But you and your network know that you take every single thing this administration says and tries to use it to make the president look bad. That is an objectable fact.
I don't think covering troop deaths is trying to make the
If you're trying to argue right now that CNN's overwhelming coverage is not negative of President Donald Trump, I think the American people would tend to agree, and your ratings would tend to disagree with that as well. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. On the school strike, back to that for a minute. I understand that the U.S. does not target civilian infrastructure. That's what you said. Can you say that there's any evidence right now that it was not a U.S. strike? And then also, you didn't mention Israel in that. Is there any assessment about Israel's potential likely role in that, if at all?
Again, the Department of War is currently investigating this matter, but again, I will reaffirm that the Department of War and the United States Armed Forces do not target civilians, as does the Iranian regime, who kill and execute their own people. Christian.
On two separate issues, Caroline. First, what can you tell us about the military operation in Ecuador? And then secondly, is the president considering invoking the Defense Production Act to boost munition stockpiles while we are in this conflict?
It's not something I've heard the president consider, but as you know, the president has been in pretty direct correspondence and public correspondence with defense contractors, asking them to aggressively speed up their manufacturing of American-made weapons, which again are the best in the world. With respect to Ecuador, I would point you back to the statement released by the U.S. Southern Command. On March 3rd, Ecuadorian and U.S. military forces launched operations against designated terrorist organizations. These operations are a powerful example of the commitment of partners in Latin America and the Caribbean to combat the scourge of narco-terrorism. And together, we are taking decisive action to confront narco-terrorists who have long inflicted terror, violence, and corruption on citizens throughout the hemisphere. And on that, I would also add that this weekend, I'm pleased to announce, the president will welcome the heads of state from 12 nations across our Western Hemisphere in Miami, Florida on Saturday. The point of this newfound Latin America summit is to promote freedom, security, and prosperity in our region. The following countries will be in attendance: Argentina, Bolivia, Chile, Costa Rica, the Dominican Republic, Ecuador, El Salvador, Honduras, Panama, Paraguay, Trinidad and Tobago, and maybe some others as well. And the president will be speaking with the leaders of this country who have really formed a historic coalition to work together to address criminal narco-terrorist gangs and cartels and counter illegal and mass migration into not only the United States, but the Western Hemisphere, which remains a key and top priority of this president. Thank you very much, everyone, and you'll see the president yourselves in an hour.
Thank you, Caroline.
Well. I know some of the libtards in here that don't like President Trump would like to believe that what Carolyn was talking about was just trying to cover or hide President Trump's doing. Listen, let me just say something really quick. But before I say something really quick, let me play this real quick.
In the Indian Ocean, and we'll play it on the screen there, an American submarine sunk an Iranian warship that thought it was safe in international waters. Instead, it was sunk by a torpedo. Quiet death. The first sinking of an enemy ship by a torpedo since World War II. Like in that war, back when we were still the War Department, we are fighting to win.
Got it? All right. Glad you're here. Glad you're here with me to say that, to see that. There's a couple of things that people don't understand about what's going on with this Iran war. Let's just go to the key short things that I want to touch up on. 47 years. They've been warring on us. We have been put in sanctions. We have done this. We have done that. They don't care. They don't care about respecting sanctions. They don't care about working with the enemy. They don't care what happens to us. They want death to America. It is a fact. 80% of Iranians don't want that regime. They killed over 30,000 people, their own people. We're not going to sit back and tolerate that, because these people were not fighting some other country invading them. They're just innocent people. They're just there using their right to be able to speak, as every human should have. Every Iranian agrees with everything Trump is doing because they asked President Trump for help. $40 billion to Argentina. We need to help their peso from Argentina to be able to circulate in the markets. We cannot let them crash. The difference between us giving countries money is we're making investments, putting Americans' benefit first. We get rare earth minerals from Argentina. People on the left, they focus on these little things, but they don't have any background or foundation on their arguments. But yet, if there's anything negative about Trump, they scream it off the top of their lungs as if it's the most factual thing they have ever discovered in the world. Ukraine. Ukraine was given billions of dollars by Democrats. Not one Democrat that I can remember had a problem with it. And we got nothing for it. Let's not forget and let's not play stupid. It was Biden who allowed Russia to invade Ukraine. A small insertion. That's it. Just a small insertion. We had no guts. There was no guts. They took advantage of it and they attacked Ukraine. You say, oh, no more wars, and look at him, the hypocrite. He said no wars, and there he is. Well, we're defending people. We're helping Ukraine, but we're not just giving away our wealth. Why do we help the Iranian people? When a known terrorist supporter says death to America, you better listen. I will never forget 9/11. I will not forget what they are doing in our country right now. China has been after us for a very long time. Let's not play stupid. When President Donald Trump says that he has a great relationship with Xi and Putin, doesn't mean they're best friends and everything is hunky-dory. No. What he means is they know what we got. And what better way to show our force than to get rid of a dictator, communist in Venezuela, than to stop the drug boats coming into our country, than to liberate a free and free an innocent man, Juan Orlando Hernandez, president of Honduras, who was set up and hung out to dry as a criminal drug lord, which was a false accusation. What better way to show force than to do a precision strike without anybody knowing and destroying the nuclear facilities in Iran? What better way to say, hey, you want to talk shit about us? You better watch your mouth. 30,000 plus innocent Iranian people killed by their own dictator communist regime. They happen to be a Muslim religion. We already know about it. This is the best time. By the way, there were sanctions and they didn't care. You know why Trump didn't want to deal with them? The same reason Nicolas Maduro didn't want to deal with it. By the time they said, let's deal, it's too late. Enough bullcrap talking. No more talking. I get to the point where I can take it and take it and take it until I can't take it no more, and I will take you out. That's how I am. Now I don't do it with weapons, but I will shut you up. I'll probably have insults that you have probably never ever heard in your life. I'm not a perfect person. I can be very, very bad. But now we have on worldwide television, Russia and China and North Korea were just talking about, oh, let's just sit back. Let the Democrats take them out. Let Democrats do our bidding for us. Look. Watch the judicial branch and all the activist judges. Yeah, let them take care of Trump. We don't have to fight them. Let the Democrats, let them eat each other. Let them fight each other. That's what they're doing. Did you know that something similar like this happened in throughout history? Were the Muslims a fake veteran? You traitor. Be patient. When the Muslims wanted to take over Christian countries back in medieval times, they waited for these two Christian nations to fight each other, to weaken each other. And then they went in and attacked and they took over. Guess what? History tells me that tactics work. Cheese, get the hell out of my channel, bro. If you don't like my channel, just leave, bro. Don't need to be coming in here insulting. I don't put up with that shit. If I catch your negative comments, I will kick you out. Period. Muslims conquer a lot of countries by letting them fight each other before they came in to fight. China, Russia, and I will dare to even say North Korea. They are just waiting to see what happens with the tariffs. You know what I think is funny, but not really. It's that Democrats celebrated that judges went against the tariffs. But by the way, they're still going to be in effect. They just got to renew every 90 days. But other than that, they were celebrating that they were, it's way before medieval time, my friend. The time is different. Forget about that. But the example stands. And they celebrated that Trump got told about tariffs. This stupid people on the left, I don't think there's any way to help these people. And I know not everybody has celebrated this, but the ones that really hate Trump, I know that there's a lot of Democrat Americans out there with some common sense, but I get it. You're loyalists to the party. I get it. But at some point, you got to think like Fetterman and put the country first. They celebrated, and they even went to go as dumb as freaking Gavin Newsom is. They even went as far as say, you need to pay those tariffs back. Are you kidding me? Do you know what dance Xi and Putin was doing in their country? Man, I'm sure they were celebrating, popping up the champagne that they've been holding for 300 years, and they were celebrating of how stupid Americans are. I can't stand for that. I can't stand for that. And let me tell you something. And what happens when we pay back these tariffs? Who gets it? Do we get the money? Do the companies get the money? What about the people that have to pay? They said, and I quote, you morons said, I quote, the consumer pays for the tariffs. So why are corporations getting it? Why are they suing for these tariffs? It's the cost of doing business. They got their money's worth. They get to deduct that in their taxes. I know how that works. So if it's the consumer, why are these companies out there suing for tariffs? Ain't that crazy? Huh? Costco wants their money back. Shut the hell up. Support America or get out. See, that's the problem with you guys. You guys don't think. Our enemies are watching, and you stupid-ass people. And I'm talking to those who oppose America looking good. I'm including the athletes and the Olympics. What an embarrassment. To go out there, oh, I don't know what's going on in my country. Shut the hell up. Represent the United States of America with pride. Don't be like Emperor. Damn shame to have little flakes like these guys in our country. Who cares? There is bad things going on. But we're not going to be ashamed of being American. Because the world out there, the enemies that we have, they are waiting for us to be miserable, to destroy each other. Do you understand? It's like I'm talking to a child. You need to be disciplined. You need to be scolded. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Stop it. Stop it. Let us do what we got to do. We have a democracy. We won. You lost. Shut the hell up. Either you help or you stay out of the way. That's what you people, this is why I call you libtards. This is what I call you libtards. At least the Chinese people, they suffered. And whether a lot of them didn't support President Xi, they're still proud to be Chinese. It doesn't matter how much they hate the president. They're still Chinese. And they will put up and they will survive whatever hardships they have to survive and endure for the pride in their country. Americans, because we have been infiltrated by so many wusses from other countries, we have acquired so much third world country shit in our country of migrants that we lost the American spirit. We lost our strength. Well, we're fighting for it back. And we're not going to let the weak links in our country dictate how great we're going to be as a country. If you want to say something about Trump, say something about Trump. But we have allowed through open borders. I'm a migrant myself. I came here to this country from another country. But I respect the law. We have allowed open borders because a lot of ridiculous people out there that keep saying nobody is illegal on stolen land, the retards that scream out from the top of the mountains are the minority. The small percentage is what people focus on. And this is what the legacy media gives out to the world. And they say, oh, they're laughing at us. The world, shut the hell up. Who cares? Let them laugh. Go ask Maduro if he's laughing at us right now. Go ask the Delcy, the new president of Venezuela, if they're laughing at us right now. Go ask the cartels if they're laughing at us right now. Go ask Ukraine. Go ask Russia. Go ask India. Go ask all these other countries if they're laughing at us right now. They might do it behind our back, but they ain't going to do it in front of you. I'll tell you that right now. And it doesn't matter if you laugh and you say this and you say that. President Trump and the administration has made America proud again. Soldiers are soldiers again, not men pretending to be women. What is this? No cojones. America building women out of men. What the hell is wrong with you? What is wrong with these people? Why are you taking away the manliness of man? Why are you trying to turn them into pussies? We are no pussycats. We're a strong man and we're proud of it. You know why? Because we have to defend our families. Our enemies use our Constitution against us. And the shame, it pisses me off that Americans agree with them. Christians, weak Christians, have allowed Muslims to take over their country. Not just Muslims, illegal immigrants. By the hundreds of thousands, illegal immigrant Muslims who don't want to assimilate. They want to come into our countries to change it into the shithole country that they fled from. And if you stand for that, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. If you're smarter than me, I can't hate you for being smarter than me. No. I need your help. Give me some advice. But if you are dumber than I am not taking your advice. Open borders. Enemies have infiltrated our country by the millions. Not by the hundreds, not by the thousands, by the millions. Do you understand what that is? That is the population of 32 to 34 states in this country. And you know what they can do if they vote illegally? They can take over us. You don't understand the national security, the risk that we are at right now. You keep thinking that you're safe because we are safe at the moment. I asked my friend this one time. One time I asked my friend this question, and I ask anybody. I ask anybody that has a dual citizenship or is a migrant in this country, and for every American that doesn't see the truth, you are a libtard. I asked my friend and I said, hey, you're an American citizen? Yeah. Are you also Mexican? Yeah. I said, let me ask you something. If Mexico and the United States would go to war, who would you fight for? What land would you protect? And don't answer me, because the answer is, whichever you choose, that's where you should be. I already know he's going to say Mexico. That's his country of birth. He's proud to be Mexican. He's not proud of being American. He's proud of being Mexican. Citizenship is just a right that they take away from the American citizens so that they can collect Social Security when they're retired. It's just a benefit. They don't give a shit about you. And I'm talking to Americans. They don't care about you. They only care about what they can get from you. If we tell illegal immigrants you cannot work in this country, if we enforce the law and imprison employers who do hire willingly, knowingly, they pay a fine. They don't pay the fine, they go to jail. If we tell the world that you don't come here illegally, there is no benefits, nobody helps them, nobody does anything for them, you know what they're going to do? Why am I going to go to that country? They're not going to help us. They're not going to do anything. It is the truth. Now, if you're illegal in here or you're a moron, one of the libtards out there that lets your emotions dictate your decisions in your life and you don't use common sense, I feel sorry for you. The truth hurts, but the truth shall set you free. I can tell you something. I make Honduras very proud. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. Since I was a child, we were taught to make an oath that we would be faithful and loyal and defend the land that we live in. And those who disrespect or disobey the law of the land, we will call them traitors. Traitors, not traitors. Traitors. And I took that. And it was engraved in my heart. So when we come here with permission, we let our intentions known that we want to be here. If we respect the law and we are accepted and if we are welcome to be part of this great country, it speaks volumes to the land from which I come from, because it shows you that the people from that land respect you, love you. And those who are the opposite, who come here illegally, they bring shame to that country. And most recently, the ex-president Xiomara, the one that lied about the President Trump pardon, Juan Orlando Hernandez, that traitor allowed for thousands and hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants from Honduras, knowingly let them come over here to our country in the United States of America. Out of our own lips, we depend on the remittances of our illegal immigrants in the United States of America. And if you don't let them stay in the United States of America, we want Americans out of Honduras. We want all the American military out of Honduras because you don't help us in any way. Meanwhile, we are billions of dollars in debt. Literally, right now, the United States of America can go to Honduras and say, hey, you are now territory of the United States of America. Oh, no? No? Give me my money. Give me what you owe me, or I will take your land in value. Nah, that's not how it works, obviously. I'm being sarcastic. That's not how it works, obviously. But throughout history, that's why Mexico lost all the land in North America. That's why Mexico lost Central America. That's why Mexico almost learned French. That's why Mexico was about to say, oui, monsieur. Oui, monsieur, merci beaucoup. Mexicans almost spoke French. If it wasn't for the United States of America interfering with diplomacy, France would have been here, right south of the border, and righteously so. Because Mexicans, their government, are a bunch of thieves that have been corrupted for hundreds of years. Very rare do I see the good people in Mexico govern. These people that we have all the leftists, I want you to understand something. All the leftists, if you're on the left, if you're a Democrat, I implore you to leave that party. Let me tell you why. Every single leftist, every single one of them, whether they do it or don't know, they work for this type of people. In Honduras, in our native history, we were sacrificing our own people. Understand this, because history, if forgotten, will repeat itself. And right now, it is repeating itself because people don't know. The mentality of the leftist is to sacrifice their own people. And it's not the same as when we go to war and we have soldiers and warriors that fight for us. That is not the same. Now watch this, and I got proof, and you can't deny it. Our natives were sacrificing our own people to some rock, to some fake religion, to some fake God. But there are those who fought to defend, to be free, and we took over. But it's coming back. Mexico, the same way. The Aztecs were sacrificing their own. The Mayans were sacrificing their own, period. It's what the Mexican government does. They sacrifice their own. They are doing it today. I'm going to give you the most recent one. Democrats shutting down the government. Out of their own mouths. I don't believe it, but out of their own mouth, they said, Americans, millions of Americans are going to starve because the government will shut down. Millions of Americans are going to go without health care because the government's going to shut down. Millions of Americans are not going to get paid because the government's going to shut down. This is what Democrats were saying. And they sacrificed all of the Americans to all of the things that came out of their own mouth. They don't care about us. Venezuela, same thing. Because of Trump, he's the only factor that changes everything that selfish, communist, Marxist, socialist are repeating from history. President Trump is the only factor that stops all that nonsense. And that's why I support President Trump. 100%. Oh, man. We will continue. We will continue this chat later because I got to go pick up my wife and I don't want to be sacrificed. I do have a boss in the house. Even though I am in charge of everything, I am still the man that has to respect his wife. I love my wife. I love my children. I hope that if you are an American, that you please listen to common sense. Even if you disagree with me, believe me, there's a reason why we have to be who we have to be. Because we have to get change. We cannot continue doing the same thing because we will continue to get the same result. We do not want to be insane, but we want to be the people with common sense that want to make a change for the better of the next generation. Cutting Edge, thank you for your love and support, my big bro. Love you, man. Robert, Brian, everybody else, God bless you. I do love you guys, even if you disagree with me. Keon, mad respect for you. Love the conversation we had. Jason, thanks for the call last night. You'll be blessed. Peace. I'll see you guys in the next one.